Hey, welcome to Shy Fishing the Shy. Today we're going to talk about the Pelican Bass Raider and why this boat, the Rhino edition, is the diamond in the rough when it comes to bass raiders. So here's my bass raider. This is actually the Rhino version of the bass raider, so it's a little different than the new versions that are out today, and I'll talk through some of those differences. But for the most part, the core of the boat is the same, right? It's it's a pontoon. It's filled with styrofoam, and pretty much for the most part unsinkable. They're very stable. You can literally stand on this corner of the boat with 2 feet and it will not flip, or it hasn't for me. That's not a guarantee, so do that at your own risk. But overall, this boat is extremely stable. So a couple things, when I purchased it, I got it from a guy that had 2 seats. Both seats were the same size, but he also sold me this riser, which has been awesome when it comes to sight fishing, things like that. Now, that one's pretty tall. I'm 6 foot tall, so it is a little bit difficult to like sit up on when you're trying to get on the seat. But overall, if you're just sitting, fishing, casting, it's pretty awesome. If I would change anything, I'd probably lower it by about 4 inches if I could. I know they sell like extensions that are about half that size too, I think, at Bass Pro. Although I haven't seen them recently because I was trying to pick some up. Now, I also put these cup holders on here. You can put your pliers and gear in here. That's been amazing because I'm out early in the morning. I throw my coffee in there. I throw a few of my lures in here from my tackle box, so I don't have to be digging in my tackle box constantly, and it just saves so much time. So I put that on both of these. Normally it's just me out fishing, so I'll just take one of these seats, so it gives me the rest of the boat, to stand up and to fish, standing if I want to, and to stretch my legs. In terms of my gear, what I'm running, I'm running a Minn Kota 55-pound thrust Endura Max. I've had that since I bought the boat, and then I just recently picked up this Johnson 2.0. I think this motor, I want to say it's like a 92 or 93. It's a 2.0. It's been a good addition because it gives me more range. Really, I can throw some gas in it and putt out in Lake Michigan, and then troll for a while, for salmon or whatever I want to do. And then, overall, like I'm saying, it's just giving me more range and a little bit more horsepower, obviously, too, than the Minn Kota 55-pound thrust. So I'm able to get out, to my fishing spot a little bit sooner, and then, hustle back in. Because, I got kids. I'm on a timer when it comes to fishing. I have to create time to go fishing, which, I know a lot of us guys do. So that's been a big help, and a recent pickup as well. I will say, if you're going to buy a gas motor, make sure that it runs. Don't buy something that you're going to have to fix. It's going to sit in your garage for a while. Take the extra time, do your research, make the guy start it for you, make sure that it runs. Okay, I can't stress that enough. You don't need a project. Right? You want to go fishing. That's your project. So buy something that runs. So a few of the mods that I've done to the boat, fairly simple, really, and really most of them out of necessity. The first and the most recent ones have been these in-mount rod holders. These I picked up at Bass Pro for $8 a piece. I put them on both sides, and I put them in because I lost a fishing pole. I would troll in Lake Michigan, and I would stick my rods into these carrying handles, and it ended up biting me in the rear because a big lake trout or salmon hit my rod, and I heard plop, zzz, or z plop fizz, whatever, and my rod was gone. And so I was kind of beside myself for a minute, and I was like, well, I have to figure something out. So, you know, I put these rod holders in. Really, it's just a quick, you know, drill. I've got like a hole saw that I cut this out with, and then I sealed it with silicone just so it doesn't leak. Now these are open at the bottom, and overall, if you get water in the boat, the boat has plugs here in the front so that you can tip it up and drain the water out. So you can open these plugs up right here. Okay, so the next, you know, couple are fairly simple, you know, and really with just some Velcro. I just Velcroed on this, you know, this ruler so I can measure my huge fish that I never catch, and then also, and more importantly, my paddle. So if I'm up fishing in the shadows or the shallows, you know, I use this often, almost every time I'm out, and it's invaluable. You need a good, long, sturdy paddle to be able to push you out and push yourself around. And then the last mod that I made is this Scupper Hole. Okay, again, this was done with the hole saw. I think it was I want to say 3-inch hole saw. Actually, no, it was just a 1-inch hole saw. You know, really drilled through both this top section and the bottom section of the boat. You can see it's a little shorter down here. I ordered the piece for the scupper from Amazon. It's an Atwood, and you know, it took me a few attempts to get it right and to get it on and sealed, but it works great. Especially if I'm on Lake Michigan, sometimes I get a little bit of water in the boat, and you know, it just drains right out. I did have to kind of duct tape my plug a little bit, but it works fine. It's not a big deal, just to get it to fit there. So it's again kind of an invaluable mod there, because if you do get water in the boat, the only way to get it out of the boat is to tip the boat over. Now we're going to get to the good stuff. These two green boxes in the center of the Rhino are the reason it is the diamond in the rough. The far box is your battery box. All right, so you don't have, like in the new versions, to buy an extra battery box to contain your battery in the front or the rear. Everything is wired to here, and you're good to go. Secondly, and most importantly, this box is an onboard live well, functioning live well. So if you want to use live bait, you can use live bait. If you want to catch fish, keep them alive as long as you can so they're fresh when you get home, you can do that too. Everything is wired to the battery, and you flip on your aerator right here to keep everything alive. It's incredible, amazing, I love it. So given that there are these two green boxes, that's what, again, it's the main difference in this Rhino edition of the Bass Raider versus the new editions that are out. It's because the way that the seats are designed, they sit in these tracks. And so for this older version, the tracks only go to like mid-boat, then it's the box, and then the track for the back seat is back here. The new versions have a track the entire length because they don't have the boxes. So that the new versions, you can slide your seat to basically anywhere in the boat to position for kind of the best balance and you know, kind of position the weight in your boat so that you know you get the best balance overall. So that's you know, the other main difference in the Rhino version versus today's 10E version. Now for transport, these seats do fold down, okay? And so normally, since I've got the cup holder on the other side, I'll fold it down. They lock in place with this little knob here, and then I turn the seat around so that this heavier side with the cup holder is on the back side, so that the way that it just makes it a little bit more aerodynamic, when I'm transporting. But both seats are like that. They both fold down and lock in place, so that's handy as well. And when it comes to power on the boat, there are two options. There's this one in the front where I have my trolling motor plugged in. Normally now, if I'm running the gas engine from the rear, or there's also a rear plug back here. So same connection, everything for your trolling motor, and that's a standard connection, the 2-prong connection. Now those are changeable if you do have other, odd connectors there. I think there's like a three prong option as well. But everything, wired is run to the battery. I run this EverStart from Walmart. It's a 29 DC. It's pretty good. You probably get, a good 4 to 5 hours of runtime on it. But it's variable, so you really have to keep an eye on your battery gauge. Now next I'll talk about the transport, right? So how are you going to get this to and from the water? Last year I did not have this trailer. This is a new Harbor Freight trailer that I just got this year. It's the 1,200 pound capacity version. I put it together myself. It comes in box, and it's quite a bit of assembly, but kind of a fun project at the same time. For rainy days in the spring. So it's been awesome. Last year I put this 150 plus pound boat on top of my van, like 3 to 4 days a week to go fishing. And I honestly paid for it at the end of the year. My back was a little out of sorts at the end of the year. So if you can, definitely get the trailer. It goes in and out of the water so much quicker. 2 straps and you're pretty much done. I run the strap here with the winch. I cinch it through the seats to make sure that my seats don't fly out, and then I run a strap here as well with the winch in the front, whether the seat's there or not, just to make sure that I've got the boat secured to the trailer, with no movement. So just last thing you'd want is for this puppy to come off on the highway and cause some type of accident or injury to somebody else. And then lastly, I don't think I mentioned, I think the transom is rated for 3.5 horsepower. I do have the Johnson 2.0 on here. With that, there's no transom flux. I kind of like to get a little bit bigger motor, but this Johnson 2.0 is awesome for the moment. Runs great. I ran it for probably a good 12 to 15 hours so far with trolling on Lake Michigan, and it hasn't even given me a hiccup. It's been awesome. So 2 quick items for safety, right? Number 1 is I do not transport my motors on the boat. I transport them in my car, and mainly because this trailer does have a tendency to bounce pretty good because it's only on leaf springs, and so if you hit a bump, it's going to bounce pretty hard, and you have the possibility of throwing off one of your motors and losing it, or damaging it, getting it hit by another vehicle or something like that. So I don't transport my motors on the boat. Secondly, you want to make sure that you do have your bag of safety equipment with you. For me, now that I have a gas motor, I do have a small fire extinguisher in here. Always got my life jacket, whistle, all that kind of stuff that you need, for your state, for what they tell you that you need for safety equipment. So just make sure you have those items. Hey, thanks for checking me out today in this edition of Shy Fishing the Shy. Today we covered the Pelican Bass Raider, the Rhino edition, the differences in how this boat was made versus the new tinny, the equipment that I use, the mods that I've made, which you can use on the new tinny versions as well, safety, transport, all that kind of stuff. So if you have questions, hit me up in the comments, and I'd appreciate if you'd like and subscribe. See you next time.